This is an incredibly difficult group of critics to impress.
As I enter the tasting room, I'm scared out of my mind.
This is everything to me right now.
After much difficult deliberation, the winner is...
Renowned chefs Anne Burrell and Bo McMillan are putting their reputations on the line as they each try to turn kitchen zeros into kitchen heroes. Only 2 of these recruits will make it to the final challenge, to fool a panel of food critics into thinking their meal was cooked by our acclaimed chefs. And not by the worst cooks in America.
I'm just so nervous to hear what the critics are going to say.
How could you have been so bad?
I know they have huge expectations and expect to be impressed.
The critics are Jeffrey Steingarten, award-winning author and food critic, restaurant consultant and publicist Karine Bakhoum, and Chef Alex Guarnaschelli, executive chef at Butter Restaurant and chef instructor at the Institute of Culinary Education. This is an incredibly difficult group of critics to impress. Thank you guys so much for coming today. Chef Bo and I are each preparing a 3-course meal today.
We're not going to tell you which chef created the meal. We'll simply have meal X and meal Y. We want you to tell us which meal was executed the best.
We are so ready. I didn't get a chance to taste my finished ravioli, so I'm afraid of what the critics might say.
Dish X is butternut squash, agnolotti with bacon, and aged balsamic.
And dish Y is a salmon tartare with potato pancakes and dill creme fraiche.
Let's taste appetizer X.
For me, the bacon, the apple, a butternut squash with the sage, and the balsamic in particular is making this dish appealing and appetite opening for me.
My favorite thing is actually, I agree with you, the apple.
Yeah, it's great.
Because it's crisp and it's unexpected. It's really the acidic element that winds up driving the dish.
And the smokiness of the bacon with the sweetness and tartness of the apple and the sweetness of the butternut squash is particularly appealing from a balanced flavor perspective.
But I wish you tasted more of squash. The ravioli were kind of fluffy pillows, and they were almost empty.
Let's move on to appetizer Y.
It looks like a smiley face to me, but I like the idea of the creme fraiche and the eggs together.
If you eat the potato pancake with the salmon eggs and the creme fraiche,
Then it's yummy.
it is quite enjoyable.
This flavor profile really makes sense. It's cohesive and it jives.
And I do like the idea of the potato pancake. But after taking 1 or 2 bites, you've kind of been there, done that.
Let's have the next course.
Yes.
Dish X is pork milanesa with poached egg and porcini.
And dish Y is a roasted codfish with braised mussel and ginger cream sauce.
Let's start with dish X.
I think the dish is successful in its flavor. It's simple the way this dish is meant to be simple. It's a comfort dish. It's easy. I love the bitterness of the radicchio. And the egg is perfectly cooked. This is something that I think is actually very enjoyable.
The breading is perfect, but I think the pork is actually quite tough.
I think the dish is very well executed. The pork is crispy, the egg lovely, the mixture of the greens and the mushrooms is both earthy and somewhat bitter, somewhat acidic. It's sort of like an assembly of lovely little things.
I think dish Y, if we can talk about dish Y now, is beautiful. The fish is the right size, the mussels look great with the greens incorporated inside of it. For me, it's a much more appealing
I think it looks funny.
dish.
Don't you think it looks funny to have the mussels sitting on top of the fish?
No.
The texture of the fish is lovely, but what I don't like is that mussels to me really have a very natural sweetness, and the sauce is sweet. I do find myself kind of wishing for a little relief. Maybe some mustard greens, some arugula, something with a little bite.
I don't need to have all those things on every dish.
I'm reacting.
I would be happy with a dish that was totally sweet or totally sour.
I am not.
It's a bit more one-dimensional. But for me, the key of this dish is actually the sauce.
All right, so we've had our entree, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what we have for dessert.
What could that be?
Dish X is a chocolate hazelnut panna cotta.
Dish Y is a chocolate torte with coffee whipped cream and caramelized strawberries.
Caramelized. They don't look caramelized.
Maybe there's a very subtle form of caramel on the strawberries, but I don't get it.
It's hot, it's gooey, it's got that incredible chocolatey satisfaction.
It has that molten chocolate cake taste, and it also has what I like about nibbling on unbaked cookie dough.
Yeah.
How about dessert X?
I don't even want to say what that looks like.
Here you have 2 chocolate desserts, and if you put a blindfold on me, I don't know that I would say they're both chocolate.
Exactly. This one doesn't have, it's not very chocolatey.
I mean, it's a nearly tasteless chocolate pudding.
And the nuts, to me, taste a little bit over-toasted.
Maybe they are burned, but they taste awful.
Now that we've tasted everything, what do you guys think?
There are definitely high points in both of the meals.
When you think about Y's meal, the cod had a complexity to it, and then the chocolate cake really work.
Both meals had their high points, and I've actually become much more affectionate with the pork. The egg was poached just beautifully.
I preferred the pork, I preferred the ravioli, but I loved the chocolate torte for dessert.
For me, I would really call that a split decision, because the appetizer goes to X, the dessert goes to Y, and the main course could be X or Y. It's a hard decision to make.
We hope you enjoyed your dining experience. But before you can tell us who the winner is, we have something very important to tell you.
After much difficult deliberation, the winner is...
Before we find out what the critics think, we give the critics a little surprise ourselves. The 2 meals that you guys just ate were actually not prepared by Chef Bo and I. Those meals were prepared by 2 home cooks. And here they are. This is my protege, Rachel Coleman. She made meal X.
This is my protege, Jenny Cross, who made meal Y. Only 10 days ago, Jenny and Rachel couldn't boil water. We chose to work with them because they were nominated by their friends and family as 2 of the worst cooks in America.
That's right. These 2 cooks have been only training for 10 days. This is actually a competition between Chef Bo and me to say who could take the most novice cook and turn them into someone who could make delicious food.
That's really impressive, and I would have to say congratulations to all of you.
It's also not as though they were simply inexperienced cooks. They were apparently the worst cooks. How could you have been so bad?
Please don't ask.
The table of critics is so intimidating. I have no idea what they thought about my food, and these are people that eat for a living.
There were strengths and weaknesses in almost every dish.
The best dish was the molten chocolate torte.
It was delicious and scrumptious.
You put down a chocolate cake and your eyes automatically roll. You think a chocolate cake again. And you really just showed me today that it has a way of never getting old. I felt like a 10-year-old. I scooped the middle out of the cake. It really was everything a dessert should be.
We thought that the worst dish was the panna cotta.
It fell short on flavor, on consistency. The hazelnuts tasted a little rancid and burnt.
And no one wanted to eat any more than just one little speck.
The first dish, the salmon tartare, I did like the flavor profile.
Although the tartare was perfectly chopped, it lacked texture.
Rachel, the ravioli, was a little bit of apple in there. That was really slick.
The ravioli were very professional looking, but they were almost empty. I mean, they had a thin line of filling on the bottom, and that's all. They were quite dense. But the main courses, I enjoyed the cod. There seemed to be 2 sauces that were swirled, and I liked that very much.
The cod was very sweet, and although I liked the presentation, I wasn't compelled to eat more than 1 or 2 bites.
The pork Milanese was extremely professional looking, beautiful presentation, but the pork was a little overdone.
On the other hand, the egg was perfectly poached.
To break that egg over the pork was really very satisfying.
Now it's time for you to tell us which meal you feel was better executed.
On behalf of my fellow judges, I want to congratulate all 4 of you for an extraordinary job. This was no easy task, and sadly, we can only pick one winner.
$25,000 lies in the hands of the food critics.
After much difficult deliberation, the winner is Chef Anne and Chef Rachel.
I can't believe that I just won a cooking competition. One of the things in this world I thought I was worse at, and I just fooled restaurant critics. This whole experience has not only helped my confidence cooking, but my confidence in life. I'm serious. I'm serious.
Congratulations. I'm so proud of you.
We win! Yeah!